Hello, hello, hello. I messed that one up. I did. I had two things I wanted to say, and they were happening in my head at the exact same time, and then they just came out in halvesies. Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday. Sretan Patak. I am Sarah of Expat in Croatia, and this is 5 Question Friday. Every Friday at 5 o'clock Croatia time, answer 5 questions about Croatia from people who have sent them in on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, expatinCroatia.com, email, my consulting sessions, Cam's consulting sessions, and people who communicate them to us through interpretive dance. That's my interpretive dance. How are you? Welcome. How's your week been? Mine's been pretty good. So I'd love to tell you a few things about what's been going on with me since I last saw you last Friday. It has been very sunny and Split all week. It does not completely feel like winter. I'm sure that there have been some people at the beach. I have not been at the beach because I have been working, but it has been quite lovely, like t-shirt weather at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon every day. It's lovely. And tomorrow morning, I'm going on a little morning trip to Trogir, which is, I'm sure people would disagree with me with this terminology, but a suburb of Split. And a friend of mine is taking me on his own little tour of the city, so I'm really excited about that. It'll be nice because the weather's going to be perfect. So what else has been going on? Oh yeah, I found Kuna in my house today. That just keeps happening. Like every, I don't know, 3 months, I just open up a book or go into some pocket of something that, got pushed under the couch, or I don't know. And I just keep finding Kuna. It's a lovely surprise. Makes me very nostalgic. Who misses Kuna? Because I do. I absolutely miss the Kuna. Although I went to the bank today because I had something else to do to see if I could deposit it there. And I had a feeling that they were going to say no. And you know what they said? No. The only place that you can convert your kuna to euro now is at the Croatian National Bank in Zagreb. So you can do that until January 15th, 2025. So you have less than a year to convert the rest of your kuna, everybody out there who keeps finding kuna in their houses like me. So I'm probably just going to put it somewhere and wait until I go to Zagreb next, and then I will do that and get my 20 euros in exchange. What else? So yesterday, something I think I've shared with you quite a few times. So Michael Freer, frequent flyer here on 5 Question Friday, one of my favorite people here in the Dalmatia area. So him and I have this little tradition every couple of months. We go for luncheon and we have black risotto. So we've been doing a tour. We never go to the same place twice. And we've been doing this probably for the last couple of years, I'd have to say. I wish we were better at record keeping. We are not, but we do really enjoy it. So yesterday we went to Dolis. Dolis is a restaurant that is like across the street from our office, in fact, and their food is excellent. Like really, really good. And the prices are reasonable. So it's not in town. It's across the street from Poljud here in Split. After I post the replay of this, I am going to tag their Instagram handle in the caption so that you can find it there in case you ever want to try it. But I've had their sarma, which is excellent. I've had their stuffed peppers, which are excellent. Oh gosh, I can't remember all the other things I've had there. I know we've done at least one team building lunch there. When Cam was in town, her and I went there, and just the food is always really good. So I would highly recommend it. So now we have to figure out where we're going to go for our next black risotto in the next couple of months. If anyone has any suggestions, willing to drive, probably up to 45 minutes out of Split to get a good black risotto. Because now that we've been doing it for 2 years, we're kind of running out of places to go. Okay, but I should pause and say, like, what black risotto is, because maybe some of you do not know what black risotto is. So black risotto is a risotto that literally is black. It's black because it's made with cuttlefish. Cuttlefish is a squishy little animal that grows in the sea here. And it's squid-like, but it's not squid. And they are brown creatures. But their meat is like quite white, and they do have an ink sac. So when they make the black risotto, they use the ink sac to color it, and then it has chunks of cuttlefish inside of it, and it's really, really good. And not all of them are good that we've had. Some of them have been mediocre. None of them have been inedible. I will have to say that. Some have just been like, meh. And then some have been like absolutely incredible. So we always judge them based on color, like blackness. Blacker the better. How they cook the rice, how well they cook the rice, because it can be overcooked or it can be undercooked. Usually they're always pretty good about that. But then you also have to judge, is it the right rice? Because it should be like a risotto rice, but there has been a couple of occasions where it was like they didn't spring for the right rice and they got like the cheap rice, and that's not okay. How much cuttlefish is in it? Like I would say there was a little less than what I would have liked yesterday. So you want to have like a lot of cuttlefish. How tender is the cuttlefish? And then just how tasty is the risotto? So those are kind of all of the benchmarks on how we evaluate a black risotto. So in Croatian, it's crni risotto. That's it. If you had any suggestions on good ones for us to try, please don't hesitate to let me know. Okay, what else? Oh yeah, so last night, so for those of you who don't know, I am a board member of an udruga here in Split called the Foreign Business Owners Association. We've been around for almost a year and a half now, which is like super cool. Although we registered in May officially because it took like some time for us to get all the paperwork through, as you can imagine. So we have a monthly meetup on the third Thursday of every month where we do like an educational program and there's an opportunity for networking and stuff. But we just introduced a second event, and this second event is on the first Thursday of the month at the Daltonist. It's an informal chat. It's currently open to everyone. You don't have to be a paid member to be able to come to this informal chat. And it's really just a time to mingle and chat and discuss and meet other people. And it was super fun last night. We had a few people who haven't actually come to our other meetups, so there were some new faces there. If you're interested in that information, I am going to tag FBOA's Instagram account where we announce all of those events in the caption once I post the replay, so you can follow us there and keep tabs on all of those events. Related, I did an interview with Split Tech City about FBOA, and that just got published today or yesterday, but I found out about it today. So we'll be sharing that on the Instagram so you can see it, but really happy with how it came out. So shout out to Nikolina Kukoc of Split Tech City who did that interview. Thank you so much. And what else? Oh yeah, so on our stories a couple of days ago, we announced that Croatia Airlines was having a 35% off sale in honor of their 35th anniversary. But this sale is only visible on the Croatian version of their site. So today is the last day of this sale. So if you want to go buy cheap flights, today is the day. The promo code is 35godina. Godina, like for a year. And it's all caps. It's not lowercase. If you put in the lowercase, it's going to say, hey, this needs to be all caps. So heads up, at midnight tonight, this sale is going to be over. The last thing I want to tell you is we're going to be making some changes here on 5 Question Friday. And we're not going to do them all at once. We're going to do a little bit over time. Today we have our first change, and I'll tell you about that in a second. But, you know, I'm doing this here for you guys. And it's a team effort. There are a few people on our team who I'm so grateful help me with research and putting together questions. And then also the entire team comes up with ideas so that we can make this better to serve you. Because at the end of the day, we're here to serve you. So if you have any suggestions or ideas or feedback on what we could do better or things you really like that you want to preserve or things that you don't like, we are always open to hearing feedback, regardless of whether or not it's about this or any of the posts that we put on the feed or any of the posts that we do on the site. We always want to hear from you because, like I said, we are here to serve you. So the first change that we're going to be doing, which I'm pretty jazzed about, is we're going to have a new segment every episode that's going to be our lawyer tip of the week. So, as you know, we have a vast vetted network of English-speaking Croatian lawyers across the country. We're up to 16 different law practices now, all over the place, and they serve all of our audience. Whoever needs a lawyer, we've put you in touch, and then you also get an expat in Croatia caseworker who kind of follows with you along the procedure to make sure that you're getting everything you need. We're really, really proud of that. We've had that for, I guess we're coming up on our 5-year anniversary of that lawyer network. And then they also help vet all of our content because we want to make sure that everything that we're putting out there is absolutely accurate. So we go through a number of different steps to vet our content, and checking with lawyers is one of those steps that we do. So I meet with one of our lawyers every single week, and I told her about this idea and asked her what she thought, and she was like, Sarah, I'm so excited about this. This is amazing. So she gave me 5 tips. So we're set for like the next 5 weeks at least. But so on every episode, I'm going to give you a lawyer tip straight from the horse's mouth that will hopefully kind of give you a little bit behind the scenes of, advice straight from lawyers on things that you should do. And, some of the things that she shared with me this past week, I knew, and some of them I didn't know. And the thing that I'm going to share today, I knew half of this. I didn't really realize how big of a deal it was until she shared this with me. So I'm looking forward to sharing it. So you have to stick around, though, to hear the tip, because I'm not going to do it right now. I'm going to do it a little bit later. All right. Oh, hey, Rob. Thanks for joining. Nice to see you. Okay, so we're going to dig into the questions now. This first question, usually I do a question like this at the end, when it's a little bit like I want to kind of go on, not a rant necessarily. Well, sometimes it's a rant because I love ranting. But, when I really want to kind of go on a little bit longer and unpack a topic. But I really wanted to start this 5 questions with this particular question today. So this came from a friend of mine, actually, who's in my Foreign Business Owners Association. Ran into him unexpectedly, and we were having a chat, and he said to me, he's like, what is the biggest thing Croatians do not understand about being a foreigner in Croatia? And I love this question. I love this question a lot because I don't think that really comes up. I think, there's a lot of focus for foreigners on trying to understand the Croatian experience. But there's not a whole lot of talk about Croatians understanding the foreigner experience. And I'm not necessarily suggesting that they need to do that. This is a topic that I think is important because we've experienced this internally at Expat in Croatia, okay? We have most of our team is Croatian, okay? And most of the Croatians on our team are native Croatians who were born here, lived here their entire lives. And Croatians don't completely understand what it is that foreigners have to go through. Why would they? They don't have to go through the same kind of hurdles that we have to go through. So unless they ask and someone decides to explain it to them, they're not gonna get it. And so part of the training that we've done internally is to really kind of share that experience because we do serve a lot of native Croatians, and I am super proud of that. And our Croatian audience is growing every day, but we predominantly serve foreigners. So we always have to think about what a foreigner is going to go through. So there are kind of lots of discoveries that happen along that way when you're talking about an experience or a situation that you're not necessarily in. So to go back to this question he's asking about what's the biggest things Croatians don't understand about being a foreigner in Croatia, I knew instantly what it was. From my perspective, it's the insecurity. It's the insecurity of residents. Most foreigners who are living in Croatia don't know if they're going to be able to stay more than a year. Most Croatians, once they file their application for residence, they don't know if they're going to be approved. Now, most applications are approved, but that doesn't mean that you still don't have that fear inside of you. Okay? And speaking from my own experience, every day that I didn't have long-term residence, which I didn't get long-term residence until I think I was here 7 years before my long-term residence was granted. So every day of those 7 years, I woke up and I can't say it was the first thought in my head, but every day I was like, one day Mopa is just going to show up at my door and say, it's time to go. Time's up. Get out. That's just when you're not a native, when you're not a citizen of the country you're living in, that just is always a risk that someday you're going to be kicked out. And that is a huge amount of pressure and stress that is going to be on you like every single day of your life, you know? And of course, there's different levels to that in different countries, but I live in Croatia, and this is the experience. So when you're a Croatian, you're very likely you're living in a house that's owned by you or your family. You know, you're not having to hop around these different apartments. And on that note, especially down here in Split, we have such a huge housing problem. And you can rent an apartment and you're renting it for a year, but then in April, all of a sudden, your landlord says, get out. I've decided I'm going to rent to tourists instead because I can make more money. If you're living in a house that you or your family owns, that's never going to happen to you. So there's just this tremendous amount of insecurity. Now, we do it anyways because we love it here. We love living in Croatia. And that's why we go through this process to try and stay here as long as we possibly can, despite not knowing what the future is going to hold and whether or not we can be here long term. I slept so much better after I got long-term residence, and I am immensely grateful for that opportunity, that I know that I can never be kicked out of this country, and all I have to do is get a new ID every 5 years or something like that. Rob, I understand you're right, Sarah. That's the expat experience. Yeah, it totally is. Totally is. So yeah, I really want to thank him for asking that question because I hadn't been asked that before. Now, what I want to say in terms of how do you battle that insecure feeling? You battle it with information. That's how you battle it. And that's what we try and do every single day at Expat in Croatia is arm everybody with as much information as possible so that they can feel as confident as possible no matter what situation they're in, whether they're applying for residence or citizenship or they're just trying to pay a bill, you know, or open up a bank account or, you know, go to the doctor, because there are so many situations where you can be taken advantage of just because you're a foreigner, or someone sees that you're a foreigner and they just can't be bothered, or it doesn't even matter whether you're a foreigner or not, and the person behind the desk still cannot be bothered and will tell you something, you know, ne može, it cannot be done, just because they don't want to do it, you know? But if you know that it can be done, if you have the excerpt from the law, if you have the rules in front of you, if you know for a fact that these things are true, then you can force their hand. So that's why in a lot of our posts, we have the law excerpt, both in Croatian as well as English, with a link out to the law so that you can reference it if you ever get into that kind of situation. So that's what we're all about, is information. Information is power. Now, if you're ever feeling insecure in your situation, you can always reach out to us. We're always going to be your advocate, okay? So, now on to our second question. This comes from Tish here on Instagram. Is a Croatia temporary residence still not renewable? So she asked this question on 5 Question Friday last week, and I was like, gotta answer this next week. So, renewable isn't really how residence works in Croatia. It's not the best term to use. So really it's about whether or not you can apply again and how soon you can apply again. And it depends. It depends on the basis for your permit. So you have temporary residence, okay? Imagine this is like a table. And then you have all these different bases under it. Okay, so one basis is I'm married to a Croatian. One basis is I'm an EU citizen. One basis is I work for a Croatian company. One basis is prepayment of rent. One is digital nomad. And there's some others, but we're not going to continue to go down the line. Those are the most common situations, okay? So if you are an EU citizen, you're never even going to be in a position to even think about a renewal, because most EU citizens and their spouses are granted a 10-year temporary residence permit right off the bat, and after 5 years, they're entitled to get long-term residence. So that doesn't even apply. For a spouse of a Croatian, they can get either 1 or 2 years, which the one that they get is just, they're very inconsistent. If you have kids, they're probably going to give you 2 years. If you're single, it's very possible they're going to give you 1, but I have seen some situations where they've given them 2. It's just whatever they're in the mood of for that day. Okay. So then at the end of that, you are entitled, you can apply again. As long as you continue to meet all the requirements, you can apply again at the end of that permit. Now, if you're a digital nomad, you can have a permit for 12 months, but you cannot then immediately apply again. You have to wait 6 months in between each application. But right now, there's no limit to how many times you can apply for the digital nomad permit. So right now, you can do it on and on and on and on. You just have to wait that 6 months in between. Prepayment of rent, ownership of property, language study, all of those fall under other purposes. They have the exact same rules as a digital nomad. In terms of what we're talking about, we're not going to go too far down a rabbit hole on that. So again, there's no limit to the number of times that you can apply for that, and you have to have 6 months in between. Work permits, whether you own a company or you work for somebody else's company, again, you can apply for that again and again without any gap, just like spouses or EU citizens, without having to wait. So that is essentially the answer to that question in terms of whether or not they're renewable. Those are all the major permits and explain pretty much whether or not you can apply again. So that's a super duper great question. We do have a guide. We have a guide on every single residence permit that exists. Other than scientific work, because not once in 11 years that I've been doing this, have we ever gotten a question about the scientific work. But all of the other ones we do have, and we have one guide in particular that has a list of all of the different types of permits that are available and then links out to all of the guides. If you want that, let us know. We also have, I think, 6 or 7 like nationality-based guides. So definitely we have Australia, New Zealand, Canada, United States, UK, South Africa, and Ukraine, I think. So those also go over the options specific to that person's nationality, but then it goes over other stuff like taxes, ability to buy real estate, where the embassy is, da, 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 da. So if you fall into any of those buckets, we can also send you those guides too. Okay, what's next? Okay, so now we're going to do the lawyer tip of the week. One day we'll have nice fancy graphics, but for now you get You know what? I have an idea. I forgot that I was going to put this on anyways. There. Now the lawyer tip of the week is going to be festive. Okay. So I am reading a direct quote from our head lawyer. Be mindful of registering every address change on time, not just because it is required, but because of Croatia's strict delivery rules. For example, if you are asked to be a witness to a traffic accident and you are not on your reported address, the police will go looking for you. Then they will arrest you and bring you to the court at your own expense and embarrassment. Ding! I did not know that. I knew that the importance of address registration, but I did not know that, if you are not there, they will come and arrest you if you are called to a court or they need you for something. So it's super important. You always want to change your address. Really, truly. And don't lie about it either. That's not a good thing. I know that there are a lot of people who do that, and you have to understand that that is a risk. Now, in terms of address registration, everyone's required to do it. There's only one exception, and that is EU, EEA citizens that are here as tourists that are in Croatia for less than 90 days. They are not required to register an address. Everyone else is. And when I say everyone else is, if you are a Croatian citizen and you don't live in Croatia and you come to Croatia to visit a Croatian family member, you have to register your address. So everyone's got to do it if they're a tourist or they're a resident. If you're a tourist, your accommodation does it. If you're not staying in accommodation, you're staying with a friend or family member, then you need to do it. if you are staying in, if you are a resident, then you have to do it yourself as well. And that's usually done with a notarized rental contract or an excerpt from the land registry or a landlord statement. The landlord statement is specifically used when you are not paying rent, but you have permission to stay in a place. So we have 2 guides on how to register and change your address, one for tourists and one for residents. So if you would like either of those, send us a DM and we'll be more than happy to send it over to you. Okay? Great. I'm going to leave this on. Is that all right with everybody? All right. So this next question comes from Jerry on our 5-question Friday forum. Is there an absolute upper age limit for renting a car? Yes. Yes, there is. So the general rule is that the minimum age to rent any car class in Croatia is 18 and the maximum age is 80. 80. So, however, it is up to the company to determine the age limit, and some of them charge extra for those younger than 25 or older than 70. The fee is approximately 40 euros per rental, but it varies from company to company. We do have a couple of links that are examples of the charges and rules from Hertz, and also Hack, which is Hrvatska Auto Club. You can get it's kind of like AAA, but for Croatia. So they also rent cars and they have some rules as well. So if you would like either of those links, send us a DM and Cam will get that over to you. Aw, you are my king. Bisera, I think is how you say it, from the 5-question Friday forum. We are British citizens and planning to arrive in Croatia on April 24th to apply for residence. We will bring all our relevant documents, but wondering if our British criminal record has to be translated in Croatian. In this case, yes. They will need to translate their British criminal record background check, but only after it is apostilled. So I want to make sure that I unpack this a little bit. So first, I want to say if you are British, you need the ACRO background check, not DBS. That's the first and very important thing. Second thing is we do have a guide on obtaining your background check, whether you're doing it for residence or citizenship. And we have, I think we're up to about 25 countries where we tell you exactly in those different countries where to get the background check and then where to get it apostilled or whether or not you have to have legalization done. So if you would like that, send us a DM. And we picked those countries based on, I think, the 25 countries that traffic our site the most. So, but we're always expanding it. Now, I want to share a little bit more about this translation because there is an exception. There's one exception. If you are a digital nomad, you do not have to translate your background check. I don't know why, but it's true. Everybody else has to translate it. And you have to translate it after you have the apostille or the legalization. Don't know what an apostille is? I'm happy to tell you. So, whenever you want to use a government document abroad, it has to be legalized. Legalization is essentially a country doubling down on a document. They're like, yes, this is a real document. We made this document and we were okay with this person using it abroad. Cool? Now, a bunch of countries got together in the 60s and they decided to standardize their method of legalization. And this is the apostille. Now, not all countries are in the apostille convention. Croatia is, the United States is, Canada is as of a week ago, which thank goodness for that. Most countries are, but not all of them. And it's important to understand whether or not your country is, because if it is not in the apostille convention, then you have to go through the process of legalization, which legalization is a minimum of 2 steps. Apostille is 1 step. But there are some cases where it could actually be 3 or 4 steps. It all depends on your proximity to a Croatian consulate or embassy. So we have a guide that breaks down the difference between apostille and full legalization in addition to that background check guide. So if you'd like any of that, shoot us over an email and we will give it to you. Okay? All right, cool. So, oh, hey, Okani. Nice to see you. All right. So, okay. So this is our last question, but this is kind of a special one. All right. We received questions from 3 different people that are all around the same topic, but each of them is asking a slightly different question. There's a little bit of nuance to each different one. There are kind of 3 different use cases for this topic, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through each question one by one. I will tell you the question, I will answer it. I'll tell you the question, I'll answer it. So I'm going to do it in that kind of step. Now, all 3 of these are related to citizenship and adoption. But if you know anything about adoption, if you are adopted, if someone in your family is adopted, if you know anyone who's adopted, then I still think this is going to be of value regardless of the citizenship piece, because I will mention how Croatia handles adoption in my answers, okay? So first, Shauna asks, can I apply for Croatian citizenship through my step-grandmother? She never officially adopted my mother. Unfortunately, not. So, in Croatia, adopted children are treated just like biological children. Okay? So they inherit all of the same rights as a biological child. So if they're not adopted, then the lineage breaks. Okay? Now, before I answer the second one, I have to say, hi, Jamie. I'm so glad you're here. And Samir's here too. Oh! Some of my favorite people have joined. Love you and miss you too. Okay. Oh, yay. All right. So next question comes from Marin. It's with a Y, so I wouldn't say modding, but maybe it's modding. My grandmother is Croatian, but my father, her son, was adopted by her in the U.S. Am I still eligible? Yes, because her grandmother officially adopted her father, the line of lineage is intact. This means her father and Marin, by extension, have the same rights as biological children. So, yes, the answer is yes in that sense. So now we're going to go to our third and last one. So this is from Michelle. Michelle asks, my mother was adopted. My grandmother gave her permission in her last days to go find where we came from. My biological grandfather was Croatian. Can I apply for citizenship? Unfortunately, not. So, since her mother was adopted, her mother no longer has the rights and benefits of Croatian lineage. So with adoption, you can gain the rights of your adopted family, but you lose the rights of your previous family. So, now I will say it's never too late to be adopted. You can be adopted as an adult. So if you have a parent that, is not your biological parent that raised you, then see if they would be up for formally adopting you so that you can get access to their Croatian roots. I have seen that case a lot of times. In fact, I had a client maybe 2 years ago. Oh, he was so sweet. So it wasn't the kind of scenario like where his parent had married somebody with Croatian roots. It was more like he was kind of taken in by a man that was Croatian, like they lived next door or something. And so he became such a part of their family that the baka, like back here in Split, like he called her baka, like that was his grandmother in his eyes, Now, he wasn't ever formally adopted. So in his case, I suggested Article 16 member of the Croatian people because I felt like he had a pretty decent case under that article. And I don't know if he ended up applying based on that. I really hope that he did. But yeah, so adoption. Adopted people are treated the exact same as biological. Okay? So that's it. Oh, I should tell you. We have all the guides on citizenship. And of course, if you don't know if you qualify for citizenship or you have a question about citizenship, send us a DM always and we can help you validate your claim, point you in the right direction, give you all the guides that you need that have all the requirements and the procedure so that you can inform yourself and arm yourself and feel prepared and confident as you submit your application for citizenship. Okay? So that's it. That's it, guys. Thank you so much for coming here for this edition of 5 Question Friday, which is our 130th episode. Yeah, that's it. So I will post some pictures from my tour around Trogir tomorrow, so keep an eye on stories. And have a wonderful weekend. Yeah? Okay. Ciao. Vidimo se. Bok.